Dustin Poirier has officially announced that he has one more fight left before he retires. Who could that person be? Well, we have a little bit of a hint that Dustin Poirier is coming back, so maybe we can take a look at that activity level, but I want to talk about Dustin Poirier's potential matchups, what would be the best for Dustin, how he can go out the best, or what could be the biggest fight for Dustin Poirier. We're going to get into all of that in just a second. I would love to know what you guys think about it down below afterwards. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Hey, if you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with 20 YouTube channels. Let's take a look at first this post over from Championship Rounds because I didn't know that he posted this. I know I'm not somebody that uses Instagram, but so I'm glad that we saw this from Championship Rounds. Dustin Poirier via Instagram. Big news coming soon. One more. Before we take a look at the rankings, I wanted to take a look at a couple top replies from this to see what the MMA community has been saying in general. There's a lot of people just saying like, W, this is hype, things like that. I'm excited for Dustin Poirier's last fight, especially after such a banger that he just had, right? There was an amazing fight by Dustin Poirier and Islam Makhachev. Now, this is the common consensus as of right now. I guess he's fighting Oliveira. A lot of people are saying this because Charles Oliveira also said, I don't know if he said that he had a fight signed, but regardless, he did announce that he's making his return soon. I don't know how I feel about this one because they already fought. It's not like it ended in controversy. Yeah, you have like the inside of the gloves type thing, but there wasn't like any controversy about it. It just would be a banger of a fight. I would personally like to see Dustin Poirier fight a little bit bigger than Charles Oliveira. And now there was another tweet over here from Hashbula, that had this to say, I literally don't see the point unless it's Conor McGregor one last time for a huge payday or a Justin Gaethje trilogy to cap off one, potentially two legendary lightweight careers if Dustin beats Justin. So I think there's more matchups than that, but for just Oliveira, that's the one that I don't really like. I don't know why, man. There's just other matchups that I would much rather see for Dustin Poirier, and there was one funny one that I kind of wanted to include over here. Why does he always stand like he just fudged his pants? And this is the problem because I saw this and I hate to say it, man, but he actually does kind of look like that. Like look at the way that he's standing right now, dude. Like why? But anyways, I know that was a little tad immature, but let's continue on. I want to take a look at the UFC rankings over here because this is where we can kind of get most of his fights. I know that Conor McGregor, I don't know if Conor McGregor's in the rankings. Let's take a look. We'll kind of do this in real time over here. So, of course, we have lightweight Islam Makhachev. That one is completely off the table. Arman Tsarukyan wouldn't be a big enough fight, and we'd imagine that these two are kind of fighting each other over here. Charles Oliveira, I personally don't like. The first big contender is going to be Justin Gaethje. There's history there. There's a rematch. There's a trilogy that could be made, and whenever Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje fight separately, they're always bangers. They're incapable of boring fights, and them together is the same thing, exactly what you'd expect. I've heard some people talking about a rematch with Dan Hooker. One of the best fights of all time. This one I like better than Oliveira, but there also wasn't controversy in this one, and I don't know, man. Like, there's just other opponents that could really get me a little bit more excited than Dan Hooker, and honestly, dude, after the way we've been watching Dan Hooker in his last performance, I think Dan Hooker's improving. I think that he would run through Dustin Poirier. So we know that there hasn't really been talks with Beneil Dariush. An interesting one that I also wouldn't prefer is Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler also said that he's been cooking up something. We don't know exactly what to expect at this moment, but I think a rematch between Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler kind of makes sense. Kind of. But just the timing wise, it's like the same deal with Oliveira we have going on over here. So Beneil, Gamrot, Max Holloway, not going to be it. I doubt it's Fiziev, and I doubt it's really anybody down here. I think Rafael dos Anjos is booked. I'm almost sure that he's booked. Yes, he is booked. I don't remember against who, but he is booked. I think that would have been a cool fight, to be honest with you. Two guys that never ended up running into each other. A send-off that would be honestly really, really nice in my opinion. But let's continue on because Dustin Poirier also is capable of fighting at welterweight. Could you imagine if Bilal Muhammad's the guy? I don't think that's going to be it. But then again, how many people really deserve a title shot over here? Shavkat Rakhmonov, I think, is obviously the most deserving. Kamaru Usman would be interesting. There'd be a big star fight. But I don't know. I think we're getting into a little bit of more of a dicey territory over here. I doubt it's really anybody down here for Dustin Poirier. The only one that I think is a little bit interesting over here is the Colby Covington fight. And I have been very, very vocal. This would be one of the fights that I would love to see Dustin Poirier go out with more than anything. There's history there. There's beef there. It makes sense in both of their careers, especially if Dustin Poirier wants to move up, doesn't want to cut, just wants to have one more banger. But the problem is, I don't see this one being the case. This actually does look like a fight that I believe Colby Covington would take. That's very difficult to get Colby Covington to do, but Dustin Poirier has been said on multiple occasions that he's never going to fight Colby Covington in a cage. I think that he's worried about losing that one personally because prior to Colby Covington's recent performance, I would have picked Colby Covington to absolutely humiliate Dustin Poirier. So, of course, there is 2 more fights that I believe are more so on the table for Dustin Poirier. The first one being the quadrilogy with Conor McGregor, and the second one being finally having a fight with Nate Diaz. Honestly, it'd be interesting too if Tony Ferguson was down to have a double retirement type fight. That just came to me while I was talking about this video. Could you imagine Tony Ferguson just comes in, have a double retirement fight? I don't hate that personally, but it could be a send-off for any of these guys. McGregor, there's history there. It's probably the biggest fight that we could possibly make, and the Nate Diaz one would also capture the world, man. That would be one of the biggest fights that you can make in the UFC right now. Nate Diaz, if I'm not mistaken, Nate Diaz has even said that he would come back for just a single fight. Would the UFC like that? I don't know, but if it's like a big send-off, it doesn't matter for the divisions because you're going to lose Dustin Poirier after this anyways, then I actually don't mind Nate Diaz for that. I would like that personally. And the other one that I think that people are kind of underrating a little bit, especially because we have news soon that this person is fighting, Alexander Volkanovski. I think the potential for Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski to fight each other is absolutely there. It'd be a huge star fight too. Makes sense for both of their careers at this moment, but there's a lot that Dustin Poirier could do. So if I were to predict the next path for Dustin Poirier, I think that unfortunately it would be the Charles Oliveira fight because both of them have been vocal around the same time. And we know that Charles Oliveira is in a tricky situation with the title right now. It's a one-off for Dustin Poirier. There's history there, and they're 2 stars that could kind of go together. What I personally would like to see is Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz. That's the one I would like to see most. Fight-wise, I would like Dustin Poirier versus Volkanovski, but I don't want to imagine Volkanovski getting chin, man. I don't want him to fight Dustin Poirier for that reason. But at this point, I want McGregor to stay and fight Michael Chandler. I feel bad for Chandler. If McGregor is going to come back, which at this point, I don't even think that he's going to come back, I would like to see him fight Michael Chandler. Justin Gaethje would be fun, but it wouldn't have that same allure to it, to be honest with you. Dan Hooker, I don't think is going to happen. Michael Chandler, I don't think is going to happen. I think Charles is the most likely, but I would personally like to see either Charles Oliveira. I would personally like to see either Nate Diaz or that's tough, man, because my heart doesn't want to see it, but my gut kind of wants to see how the matchup would go. Alexander Volkanovski, Nate Diaz would be great. Tony Ferguson would be great. Bring people back in that would have a one fight with Dustin Poirier and then retire. The one that I would like to see more than anything is Colby Covington just for the build-up. That would be hilarious to me, and honestly, Colby's way past his prime now, too, and we just saw some incredible grappling defense by Dustin Poirier against Islam Makhachev. So, I lied to you. Colby Covington first. Second is Nate Diaz, then Tony Ferguson. That's what I would like to see, guys. Let me know what you think about it down below afterwards. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in continuing watching the channel, YouTube thinks you'll like this video the best, but if you want to check out some reaction videos that we have over on another channel, you can check out this video right here. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Take care.